Good morning. Hi Babushka, hi Tombo. And hello to all the subscribers. And I have a few new subscribers out there. I want to do a shout out to Gino and to Constantine. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. I'm downtown, Bushka, in an area that has changed over the years. And looking at this guy here, there's a bunch of little versions of him. It's beautiful artwork. This area used to be a lot cleaner, but because of the economy and how the system works, it's become a little bit disheveled. But people are still trying to keep it pretty. Isn't that great? Gorgeous little frog. I wanted to talk about the definition of a totem. We got plenty of those here in Seattle. A totem is something of endearment or fear. If you look it up in a regular dictionary, they're gonna say that a totem is like a badge or something that has spiritual significance to a tribe or to a people, to a nationality. You find totems everywhere you go. Now, totems oftentimes are seen as something positive. You know, it could be somebody's coat of arms, you know, or some sacred animal or being or person. It can have something to do with religion, but oftentimes it can have something to do with a family tree that goes way, way back to a tribe, and maybe even further back than that. There's lots of totems here in this area of the Pacific Northwest, and most of them are carved onto wood. You'll find all kinds of sacred animals. Fish, birds, bears, beavers, and yes, the Sasquatch. Rabbits. All kinds of cool stuff. And I think there's totems too in today's modern age. Of course there are. There's old school totems that go back to medieval feudal times. Old school totems of royal houses all over the world, or groups of people. A totem can be something taboo. And a taboo can be a good thing or a bad thing. You know, me and all my siblings, well, not Jewel, but I saw her as a jewel, so I suppose you could see that as a totem. We had nicknames for all of us, me and my two brothers. When I was a child, at first, I saw them as terms of endearment. And then I was wondering why I was afraid so much during the first part of my marriage. Of course, it was realizing that the person I married, who happened to have been a man, and it could have been a man or a woman, it didn't really matter, although same-sex marriage was not accepted or legal back then. But people partnered up all the time. I don't know. Something was wrong. And it affected you. A lot of the habits of that man were very similar to my brothers, especially my oldest brother. Look at this space here. This is the carousel that you used to ride on. Every year around the holidays, we would come to this area. I remember one year in particular, it was wonderful. We went with this woman named Haidu. I don't know if you remember her and her daughter. She worked with me. And she came from Vietnam. And Haidu, I would babysit her kid, and you and her would play, and then Haidu, you know, she'd babysit you as well, and we would trade off. And I remember when you and Haidu's daughter were on the carousel, one particular morning, Sylvester Stallone walked right by here, and Haidu looked at me, and the guy was shorter than me. And I'm 5'2", almost 5'3". And she's like, should we go up to him? I go, hell no. Like, look at who he's surrounded by. He had a ton of bodyguards. And he was wearing a suit that was kind of, I don't know, a burnt umber kind of color to it. It was all shiny and silk. And ironically, it matched his fake tan. His skin color was like that of a yam. That's one thing I noticed. And his hair was really shiny. But he just walked on. Is doing a movie back around 1995, 1996. Let me remember. Oh yeah, I think it was Assassins. You know, I would have rather have met the other actors in the film. Who was it? Was it Juliette Moore and Antonio Banderas? That's who I would have rather have met. But totems. There's a totem here. Symbols and designs that mean things. Not only, you know, for tradition or spiritual significance, but also having to do with the class struggle and the mode of production, and how human beings from all walks of life and all nationalities have evolved. Now, I've shown you these totems before here. You know, they're cover-ups to make the building look beautiful until it gets completely fixed because of the rioting that happened. Like I said before, most all the protesting was good, and it was necessary for a good reason. But then you got vandals who came in who ruined things. I see them as bullies because it'll suck in the good people who want to make a difference and stay organized, and, you know, and do what is needed to be done and protect themselves. It sucks them into danger. And then you'll get the media and different people trying to twist it around, make it seem like an awful thing, because they only focus on the negative and the bullies. Seems like every time you'll have vandals here trying to ruin the artist's work, they'll redo it again and fix it up. I realized my marriage had to end. There was just no way, no form of counseling could have helped us. He used a lot of emotional blackmail and a lot of gaslighting and physical and mental abuse. He wanted a slave. His friends were starting to leave him too. And the in-laws and his siblings, not all of his siblings, but most of them, were telling me to get out. And that was a threat to him. He hated the fact that I had a job. He hated the fact that I could make it on my own if I wanted to. And he hated the fact that I had friends, and he decided he didn't want to take on the responsibility, neither of you or of his nieces and nephews, and there were a lot of them. Do you see that up ahead? That's the World Trade Organization. So that's the symbol I use as a totem to make me realize that my marriage, I had to get out of it, and it was a battle. During those protests back in 1999, the Battle of Seattle, there was a reason for it. But just like last summer, you had a lot of vandals and, radicals who took over. And especially at night, there was a lot of violence. Now, I'm not saying the cops were right either, because back then the cops were breaking a lot of laws. Good people that were going through Capitol Hill during all this time to try and make it home. Well, I met a guy and his 14-year-old daughter at the time. This was a long time ago, so she's an adult now. But they slowed down to the police officers on Capitol Hill to ask how they should go home, how the father should drive home. They rolled down the window to ask the officer that. And the officer's response was that he pepper sprayed them through the window, right in the young girl's face, and it also hit the father. Not good. So who knows? In the beginning, there was a lot to do with the WTO, the World Trade Organization protests. Had everything to do with labor and the mode of production for the working class. So that presented a scary totem in my eyes. Not all totems are good. They say taboos and totems way back in history, even going as far back as what they call prehistory. Well, I call it history. Just a lot of things weren't written down. But yes, they were in symbols. It's before any known writing that we know of. But they're still discovering stuff all over the world. Who knows? But before so-called civilization, they had totems for everything. And they say, again, I'm going to go back to this, that some totems or traditions that some cultures do, like what to eat, what not to eat, how to wash your clothes, how to wash your dishes and your cutlery, foods that are forbidden, certain things, they go back. Maybe there was an illness or something, and it just became a tradition not to eat that food, not to hunt that animal, to clean things a certain way for survival. And some totems You see and don't see. When I see this one, it reminds me of my oldest brother. As a child, I loved him. But when he would morph into the monster, and he groomed me too, like my other brother, but when Jack would morph into the monster, he would turn into this one. It was a different kind of grooming. He passed it on to me, and I started to take it out on you. And as I told you before, and I'll say it a million times till you're tired of me saying it, of how much I am so sorry. But I'm good now. But I see this when I get into my artwork. Some people may not like it, but I'm going to show how psychologically people turn into monsters. You know, and it's some psychological, but I think it's social in society as a whole. And look down this way. The marketplace is down that way. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna be headed home. I'm gonna get my nails done. It's my night off, and I have class tomorrow. I love you. I love everyone out there. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to sub and share and ring that bell for me.